What's up, Jeremy?
Hello. Welcome to another edition of Marks on Wrestling. Um, we decided to forego the intro because of that one page that always keeps harping on us for content that they don't even own. So we're just going to do it this way, at least for this episode. And I'm actually working on a new intro. Let's see.
We are live on my TikTok at D Martin Southern Paranormal. Just kind of changed all of it's kind of crude the way it's set up right now because my tripod just broke, and I don't know all the little details of getting it, streaming off the actual screen.
Here we go.
Just do a test run, see how it works.
Yeah, I'm live on my TikTok as well.
So if you're just tuning in on TikTok, exclude
Hi, Joanne.
the bad video right now. That's the only way I can get it set up right now. But we are talking about the pay-per-view last night.
Wow, there was a lot going on last night. Um,
I was excited for the match lineup, at least for the female and the male war games. Uh, Other matches were pretty good, but I mean, everybody was there for war games.
I would have preferred the 5-on-5 instead of four, like they did with the men's. Um, of course, with Dakota Kai, she's still not quite cleared, but last she said it was going to be soon, probably in January, I think.
Yeah, she was ringside at least. Throwing a couple little things here and there.
Yeah, I found that surprising because I don't recall in the past them having somebody at ringside before.
I don't remember. I mean, they may have way back, back in the day, but to start off the paper, which we both kind of knew which one was going to start, which match was going to be there was going to be the women's
Yeah,
war games, and man, it was off the charts.
the some of the moves that were done during this match, it was very risky, very dangerous, especially that one spot where Io Sky did with the trash can.
Trash can off the top. That was because I didn't know how she was going to do it. And I was like, the only way she can do it is either carry it down with her or put it over her head. And I'm like, surely she's not going to do that. And then she did it. I was
She
like,
did.
it would have took one little slip and she'd have fell back or fell in, got
Um,
seriously injured.
I,
But
I actually thought that was going to happen with Seth when he got up there.
yeah, because he kept on headbutting.
Yeah, but with Io, wow. I had seen her do a spot like that before, but not that high up. I've seen her do that from the top rope, or somebody did, but doing that from the top of the cage, that was
That was definitely the oh shit moment. The holy shit.
it was. It it was holy shit, and borderline stupid. But these wrestlers want to create a moment, and she created a moment there.
Yeah, they go all out and trying to make that moment and take those extra risks, to entertain. Uh,
Charlotte doing that backflip, the moonsault.
yeah, and she landed on her feet.
She
She hit a few, but she kind of landed on her feet whenever she did that
it
flip.
it looked like her knee hit Io's head like hard.
I don't think it was her knee, but I think it was another region that hit her in the head. But at any rate,
Yeah.
I saw a couple little things that looked like they were trying to set up during the middle of the match where they had the garbage can in the corner, and it looked like there was some confusion there. I think Io had the garbage can at one time, and they were at different corner. They were trying to set up Bailey, and Bailey was trying to set somebody up, and it looked like there was some confusion going on. And then at one time they had it stuck in there in the corner. And of course, at the beginning, everybody coming down and start going underneath the ring, and you got everybody grabbing, kendo sticks and chairs and garbage cans and garbage can lids, and everybody was chanting for tables immediately. And then when Asuka come down, she's sitting there sliding the table out, and everybody just went nuts.
And that table broke. It wasn't. It didn't look like one of the old gimmick tables that they had been using. This one looked like it actually broke.
That same way with the one Seth went through. I think it was Seth.
Yeah. Was it Seth?
And I saw where Becky Lynch got flipped over and landing on that metal separator between the rings. And I'd be dang if Seth didn't have the same thing done to him. It's like, well, husband and wife, same move. And guy was watching me because I was at work. He said, "Who's he married to?" I was like, "He's married to Becky Lynch." He's like, "Lucky dog." It's like,
yeah. And I thought for sure that the three would turn on Bailey at the end of the match.
Surprisingly, everything went smooth. I was expecting some. When Randy come in, and well, I guess we'll talk about that match in a few minutes. But let's stay on the women's thing. If I remember my comment a little bit later when Randy comes in, but I mean, some of the stuff they did in there was just crazy.
It was, and I was really glad to see Kairi back. Kairi Sane. I was really happy to see her. She looks so different from last time she was there. The way that her makeup is done makes her look like she is nothing but skeleton. And she has a very different demeanor as well. It's
A little crazier.
Not crazier, although that would fit, but she seems a lot darker. Like she's
Kind of like a
very dark.
kind of like maybe Mankind.
Possibly, maybe. Well, but with Mankind, though, he was still always very, very vocal about everything, and he would just kind of go batshit crazy when he did all his stuff. With Kyrie, she's very silent. It's like a silent but deadly type thing. It's like you see her, but she doesn't make any noise. She lets her mere presence be the intimidating factor. And the way that she marched down to the ring, that was to me that was a throwback to her last time that she was with them, but it didn't seem like it matched fit at all with what she's doing now.
Right.
And that spot where she did the elbow, I forget who she jumped on with the elbow.
I don't think I remember that one. Of course, stuff was going on so quick. And there was a lot of action to keep up with because you're watching what's going on over here, and then they're doing something here in the background, and
And that's going to happen when you got two rings.
Yeah, it would be interesting to go back and watch that match and then watch a men's match a couple of times over, and just kind of catch all the the different stuff going on. I did see where there was a corner thing going on, and Bayley quickly moved somebody out of the way because somebody was getting thrown in the corner. I also saw her. She was on the mat, and somebody was fixing to dive off a top rope on her, and she kind of moved the can out of the way. Ring presence, making sure nobody gets hurt.
Joe's on. I'd like to go ahead and bring him on if we can.
Bring him on.
Let's see. Hang on. I lost my copy.
I think we got a gaming monitor over here to my left on our big computer. I think I'm going to wind up. It doesn't have a cam on it. I may wind up going and getting a cam and hooking up to it and doing podcasts from it. And then I'll have to deal with this computer here that's.
Here he is. Hi, Joe.
How you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Pretty good. That was quite the match, quite the show. I was a little disappointed, though. For such a big event, that heavyweight title of Roman Reigns should have been on the line.
Going on with that, I think there may be something in his contract that,
it's all Paul Heyman. It is. The same thing was going on with Brock Lesnar. Only defended him when he felt like it. And Roman, I remember once Roman bitching about that before he even got the belt.
Yep.
Bitching about, Brock Lesnar is not a fighting champion. He only does it once in a blue moon and so on and so forth. If I had the championship, I'd be defending it every day, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right.
Well, you got to think, too.
For that right now may be attributed to his health.
That's the only thing I can think of is he got the contract because he's got the same type of leukemia I had. Okay. But I got lucky and had an exact match. I don't know if he did. Probably should have with as big as that family is. But he's had it relapse like twice now on him, at least. That was public knowledge.
Right.
Because he announced it in the ring that he relapsed, and that's why he was gone.
Yeah. And then he came back very quickly after that.
Yeah, and he didn't look too good either when he came back.
Another thing with the whole, defending of the title and all, I'll say their hands are tied, but sometimes the brass behind the scenes are in charge of, all right.
Well, yeah, because it's all about money.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns draws a big crowd and makes a lot of money for them. Seth Rollins does the same.
And that's the thing that is disappointing, because this here is one of the big four. And they mentioned this at the beginning of the pay-per-view, that this is the second longest event behind WrestleMania.
Right.
And when you have something like that, you have to have all your biggest stars.
And now they've also combined it, because War Games was never a WWE or WWF event. That was back in like NWA or WCW.
Yeah. It started with
That's where that started. Yeah.
I was actually throughout the event last night, I went and looked at the history of War Games, because they talked about Io Sky being in this match more than anybody, and I thought that can't be right. And when you look at the WWE roster, she has been in it more than anybody else. But when you look at the overall history of War Games, it's really Sting who's been in this match more than anybody else, and he's been in it 20 times.
20 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, when War Games first started, it wasn't just a once a year thing. They were doing it multiple times throughout the summer when Great American Bash was.
Yep. I remember all of that.
Yeah. So Sting has been in it more times than anybody else, followed by Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Yeah, well, the Four Horsemen were always found a way to get into it.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that was their that was like their WrestleMania back then. They were doing it big, and everybody was watching. I mean, they had Magnum TA, they had all kinds of wrestlers that would just put their body at risk in that 2-ring inside of a steel cage. You know.
And the big difference between their War Games and War Games now is they don't have the top of the cage, which is disappointing, but at the same time, I see why they don't do it, so that they can be able to do those high spots like they have been doing last night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
who was that on top of the ring? Were you talking about her in that putting the garbage can, the trash can, over the top of herself and flying off the top of the cage?
I could not believe that she actually did that.
I mean, that's something Mick Foley would have done.
Yeah.
You're right. It is. He would have done that.
And that guy was one crazy bastard, you know. I mean, Mick Foley, God, I wouldn't want to be him today. You know.
Honestly, how he ever lived through some of the stuff that he's went through baffles me.
And today's probably popping pain pills like the candy.
Yeah. I don't think there has ever been another risk taker quite like him.
Oh no.
But going on with the ladies in this match, I was also really happy to see Shotzi.
I like her.
Yeah.
I liked her ever since I started watching her. You know, she started coming to that ring in that tank with a TCB on there. That's Elvis. That's like old school. That TCB means taking care of business, and that's what it meant for her too.
When she first started wrestling for NXT and then moved on to WWE, I thought for sure that she was going to be lost in the shuffles like Dana Brooke and some of the other female wrestlers. But now here she is doing the high profile stuff, and I am thrilled to see that for her.
Yeah, and when they cut her hair, it brought out a whole new side of her, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't them that cut her hair. She wanted to cut her hair.
I know, but that match or whatever it was that caused it at that point, I think the whole thing made her able to bring out that, kind of gave her the look she wanted
Yeah.
so that she could kind of bring out that crazy wild card, as they called her,
When
persona.
when I first saw her without her hair, I did not recognize her at all.
Well, I didn't either, but man, she is something else. She can go a long way, I think.
I think so too. One thing that's throwing me off about Shotzi is, uh, you guys know about the paranormal series that she and Scarlett have, right?
The what? Paranormal series of who?
Yeah.
She was in a paranormal.
Scarlett. They have a paranormal show now called Chamber of Horrors. It's on the YouTube channel for WWE.
Okay.
And they have done 8 episodes by now. I think they've been trying to release one a week, and it's throwing me off because this was still all of this is still after she cut her hair off, and most of their filming has been before she cut the hair off. So far, as far that I can think of, there's one episode where she has very short hair, and I think that was episode 2 or 3. Everything else, she had that long green hair. Um, and they actually have a pretty good show. It's only on average about a half hour long.
Hmm.
They do a pretty good show, and there was one at the Axe Murder House that some crazy shit happened at the very end, involving Shotzi, Scarlett, uh, Caleb Braxton, and 2 others, the 2 Irish girls. I can't think of their names right now. They they're
Piper
acting
Niven.
is strong. I can't make out what they're saying.
Talking about Piper Niven and
No, it's not. It's not her. Not her. It's the other one.
Becky Lynch is.
Isla Dawn is the one.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to go there. I missed out on a chance to. You're talking about the Melissa Axe Murder House?
It's either that one or the Lizzie Borden house.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too.
Yeah, I want to say it's Lizzie Borden, but I'm not.
That would make more sense, yeah, because it's more famous.
All I know is that it was an axe murder in the house. It could be either one of them. But the end of that episode was just crazy.
I'd check that out.
Yeah, I reckon I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed all their shows. They had Luke and Carl, the good brothers at Waverly. They had Drew McIntyre at Penhurst, I think. Rhea and Dom at St. Augustine Jail.
Now I remember seeing Ray and Dom on a ghost. I saw some video footage of them.
That was their
really,
first episode.
Okay, and they were really freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe they would. I didn't think Rhea would, but I just got a bad opinion of Dom. I don't like him much.
I don't think too many do.
A lot of people.
I love how the audience don't give him a chance to talk when he's in the ring, with a mic, and they get too loud and you can't,
Oh,
But everybody else in Judgment Day, they'll let speak, but Dom.
well, last night, even before he got in the ring, I mean, they were still counting down because he was the last one, and the whole crowd was just—I forgot what they were chanting. Dom sucks or
Something.
Dom, and it was like really loud before he even got out of the cage.
Oh,
That boy's got some heat on. That's for sure.
And he seems to be the one that always gets cornered, with everybody else down, and everybody just beats the hell out of him.
well, it's not. You can't blame him so much as you got to blame the people that created the storyline to make him turn on his father.
Yeah.
That's the main reason everybody hates him.
And we knew that was going to happen. It was
Oh
just-
yeah, typical WWE and WWF Vince McMahon stuff.
Yeah, it was going to happen. And I was actually really hoping for the Rumble this year would start with Dom and Ray as 1 and 2. I was really hoping for that, but I didn't realize that Ray had been injured just the night before.
Yeah,
He didn't compete. But I really thought that would be a big moment for the Rumble.
That was a
having
concussion,
Father's
wasn't it?
start off.
That was a concussion, wasn't it?
I don't remember. There was a concussion on him, but that was later on this year. No, I think it might have had something to do with his knee.
Probably.
but you talking about that the women's match still, the War Games match. You know what threw me? What really threw me, and they've done it before. My wife pointed this out to me that they've done this before. Becky Lynch and Charlotte sitting there making everybody thinking they've got some kind of issue with each other. All the way up until what happened in the ring during the match where they hugged and they did the high five and all that together, I thought for sure that was going to be an issue, that they were going to actually be feuding during that match, the two of them.
When they ran in for that hug, I thought that's what they were going to do.
That's what I thought was going to happen too, and I'm like, what the hell? They had me fooled. They did such a good job at fooling everybody about the feud, the so-called feud between them, that I thought for sure they were going to turn on each other and that whole team was going to fall apart.
Well, they had it, early on in the match where the two standing up and they were eyeballing each other, and then they got knocked into each other. That's like, oh, that's going to start something later on.
Yeah, I thought so too. And the biggest surprise for me is that nobody turned on Bayley. I have been waiting the whole match for that to happen because we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, the way that, what is her name, Io Sky, the one that's got the belt.
Yeah.
Every time Bayley's opening her mouth and she's right there,
And she's always accepting matches on Io's behalf, and Io's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And then she flipped that on Bayley last week, I think, where Io accepted a match on behalf of Bayley or put Bayley into a match she didn't want it. So you can see that friction there. We were suspecting that to happen, and now seeing how the match ended, because Bayley was going around and pushing everybody away and taking the hit for somebody else, like she did with Charlotte Spear. She
took that spear.
Yeah, I forget which one she pushed out of the way. It might have been Io, and she took the spear. And I'm thinking that's going to be the.
I think it was a pirate princess that she.
Huh?
The pirate princess, I think, is one that she pushed out of the way.
Okay, Kyrie.
I think it was Kyrie Sane.
Well, I look for them tomorrow night to start the ousting of Bayley.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna outcast Dakota Kai too.
There's people going around saying that Dakota may actually be the mastermind behind this because
Maybe, but I don't know. Those three women have a history.
yes,
You know, those three Japanese women, and I'm not being racist. That's just what they are. Their wrestling history goes all the way back to Japan
hmm
before they even were even heard of here in the states or at WWE. You know,
even Triple H said that last night. The term Joshi wrestling, he had never knew what that was until just a couple years ago. And there is another wrestler. It sounds like that they have interest in. The one reporter mentioned her name. I forget what it is right now. Um, but there's a lot of talk of another wrestler coming in and joining Asuka, Io, and Kyrie. But there's also talk of Dakota being the mastermind behind it because they showed,
I can see that too.
yeah, they
But
showed
Sally's got to go, and she's going to go in a big way.
she does. I was really disappointed seeing her leave a couple years ago when she did because I
You
really
know,
liked her.
she's not. They look at her like dead weight, or you know, like a bad head of lettuce. So just leave it on the dock until they're ready to deal with it.
Mhm.
You know, and Asuka and these three have such a record and such a history together. And if there's a fourth one out there, like you say, yeah, Dakota Kai is just the perfect person to be in their corner as and take over Bailey's spot as managing them or to be in the mastermind behind it all.
You see, if I'm not mistaken, all three of them were NXT Women's Champions as well.
Yeah,
I know.
Asuka went undefeated
Yes.
until she came to WWE.
Okay. Kyrie, Io.
And then her pirate Kyrie Sane was here as just a pirate princess and was Asuka's tag team partner for a while.
Yep. The Kabuki Warriors, I think.
Yeah, I remember them saying something, bringing that name up in the match last night.
Yep. Like I said, those three have got a history, and those three alone by themselves. And if they get rid of Bailey, the dead weight, they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be extremely dangerous.
I think this is going to be Bailey's way of maybe turning face. But I got to be honest, I actually like Bailey as a heel better.
Yeah, yeah. She was too, I don't know, too goody two shoes like or something. You know, I guess it's the only way to put it.
I know. Oh, and by the way, remember Bailey's biggest fan back when she was in NXT? That little girl that was always there in the corner. She apparently has already made her wrestling debut earlier this
Really?
year. Yeah, I
Oh,
I don't recall her name, but I remember seeing a picture. It's her, and I guess Bailey was the one who inspired her to become a wrestler, and she just made her debut this year. Hi, Clark. So I think that's pretty cool, and maybe bringing her in at some point. Maybe not now, but if they bring her in at some point, they could do something with those two.
yeah. Well, I was
See,
talking uh, to my wife because we watch wrestling together all the time, and I was watching those four in that match last night. Not just to go back to Becky Lynch and her group. I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd like to see it if those four would turn around and bring the four horsewomen to WWE instead of just leaving it in the history books in NXT. You know,
They had it with Charlotte, Becky, Bailey, and
and
Sasha.
Sasha Banks, yeah. But they never had it in like Monday Night Raw or the SmackDown brands. So I think they could like kind of reinvent it and have Shotzi and Bianca join. You know.
Well, with how well they work together, they would be good for that because it is high time for them to actually do something with Four Horsewomen. Because I was disappointed that they never did before, because they had that opportunity to have the WWE Four Horsewomen versus the MMA Four Horsewomen. Because at one time they had all 8 of them signed. And I think that was
That would have been a hell of a match.
It would have been. But yeah, women's War Games match itself was a hell of a match.
Yeah, totally unexpected stuff happened in it.
Crazy shots.
I would say, to me, it's just my opinion. Without the intro of Randy, I think Randy puts it over the top. But to me, the women's match was better than the men's match.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
That was match of the night.
yeah. Even some of the reporters said that when they had Becky Lynch and Charlotte on the press conference after the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I am looking for Shotzi to have a good run of something next year. Maybe not necessarily the title, but I think she's gonna really come out on her own next year.
Well, I think WWE now that Vince is kind of out of the picture, and the way Triple H was talking last night and that press conference, they need to do more with the women. Okay,
Yes.
a lot of them are. There's a lot more of them coming up from NXT. All right, because I've been watching NXT on and off, and I see there's a lot of women over there. They need to do 2 things before they start getting more and more women over here. They need to invent and create a U.S. title for the women and an intercontinental title for the women. That's just my opinion.
I remember seeing something where they were talking about doing a secondary title.
You know,
They could set up a tournament.
yeah, right. I mean, the men have got 2 titles, the 2 heavyweight titles, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. They should, and I agreed with Jeremy last night. He mentioned this. They should split those the tag team titles, men's tag team titles, back up. You know, remake them and put them back on Raw and SmackDown where they belong. Right, instead of having somebody walk around with both sets.
I'm surprised they haven't done that yet.
Everybody knows it's the Raw and SmackDown belts because one set of belts is red, the other set is blue.
Yeah,
You know, we're not stupid. You know, they need to go back where they belong. And then, you know, so, but the women, they've only got 1 set of tag team belts. You know, so
they don't need 1 set of tag belts because actually, no, they got a pretty extensive roster. I'm looking at
and with all the women in NXT, they deserve a 2nd set.
Yeah.
You know, they've got both. They got 2. They got a Monday Night Raw. They got a Raw heavyweight title for the women and a SmackDown title for the women.
They need to add more women to the SmackDown division first before they start thinking about doing a 2nd tag title.
Right, but
that roster is not as deep. That is the smallest roster of all the brands: Raw, SmackDown, and NXT.
I would say that's
but
the
they need,
on the men's and women's side.
but they need that Intercontinental title and the U.S. title before they get a 2nd tag team title. Anyways,
You know, you remember back in the '80s, you know, you had all kind of tag teams. You know, it was a big, big thing back in the 80s.
Yeah, you had a, but
They had an Intercontinental Tag title at one time.
television title. That was a hard one to win. They used to have a television title. I don't know if that was WWE or if that was one of the other federations, but they had a television title and it had very difficult.
Was NWA, WCW.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You know, and I think when they invented that 24/7 title, that was a bunch of BS. I think it was a joke.
Yeah, that and the belt itself was, it just looked like a toy. It didn't look like a real belt.
No, it didn't look like a real belt.
All right, so the next match was Gunther and Miz. What'd you guys think of that one?
I was not expecting it to be the next match. I figured Escobar and Dragon Lee was going to be the next one.
I thought so too.
Didn't go long. I mean, Miz had a good showing and all that, but you know, it wasn't. It was hard to match up to what we had just saw. You know, and that may be the reason why I didn't really care for that match a whole lot. You know, it just had all this action and everything going on, and then you just got them two in there going back and forth.
Yeah, I was hoping Miz was going to win that one. I really was.
I don't think they're going to take that off of Gunther until May.
Yeah. He's already broken the Intercontinental records for the longest reign. I mean,
it depends on what they do with him in the Rumble.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I figured that when he said he was in the Rumble, if he wins that, he's got a shot at either title. You know.
I see if he does lose, there's going to be some kind of outside interference. There's going to be some kind of. It ain't going to just be a flat out, hey, you beat me. There's going to be some kind of controversy involving that.
I think that's how it needs to be. When he loses that title, it has to be that way. Because he has been so dominant. I don't think I recall ever seeing, at least as far as the Intercontinental goes, a wrestler being as dominant as he has been.
Yeah,
he's been
great champions
for as long as he's been. Now Warrior had that. You know, I remember seeing the first Warrior actually won it. You know, against Honky Tonk. I mean, the match.
That was a great match.
Like 20 seconds or something. It was really quick.
If that.
Yeah, and he comes down, running down the ring. Is like, because I don't remember seeing the guy. It's back, of course, back when I didn't have cable or satellite back in. You know, so I'm, just watching the pay-per-view, and I was like, who is this guy? And we just run in there and beat the hell out of him, splashed him, and that was over with.
He hadn't been there for a year at the time. He had a match with Hercules at WrestleMania 4. Then he was also a part of the 88 Rumble. And he was not in Survivor Series. So I think he came in after Survivor Series, but before the Rumble. And he created such a buzz with how he was because of how different he was from everybody.
Right.
But for Honky, how he ended up with that long of a reign is.
I never really got behind. He was boring to me.
I thought he was a joke. I mean, coming out there playing that guitar dressed like Elvis, and I mean, come on.
And it worked for him for a long time.
It did. It did. It really worked for him for a long time, but I think that also had to do with he had, one of, a pretty good manager behind him too for a while.
Yeah.
Always carrying around that bullhorn.
Yeah, Jimmy Hart had been there. Jimmy Hart was there for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, he managed some of the greatest.
He
Yeah.
did. Honky
So-
Tonk. We had the Nasty Boys. Um, he
Didn't he
had
have the Bulldogs?
what's that?
Didn't he have the Bulldogs and Hart Foundation?
Yeah.
He did manage the Hart Foundation. He managed the Rougeos,
Hulk Hogan,
Hogan, Beefcake.
Savage. When they were what were they called? Hogan and Savage.
No, he wasn't with them.
No, that was Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was Elizabeth that did that.
'Cause that caused the big, the big breakup and them two going at it.
Now he did have Money
Yeah.
Inc. And I think he also managed King Kong Bundy at one time.
Might have.
I think he was his manager when they had the match at WrestleMania 1. I think he was King Kong Bundy's manager. But yeah, seeing Gunther, he has been so dominant, and Miz over the last couple of years hadn't really done much of anything. But here in these last few months, he's been putting on some really good matches. So I was glad to see him get this match on this platform at this stage, and he had a hell of a show. And you can tell the influences in his style all throughout the match.
Well, yeah, he even though he says that, he doesn't claim, but yeah, you can obviously see that all the wrestlers that influenced him or he took his moves from.
He did the kicks that Bryan Danielson taught him.
Yep.
He did two very prominent Bret Hart moves with the figure four around the ring post. He was the one that created that one. Bret Hart was.
And that was fairly early.
Yeah, they gave Bret Hart props during the match for that too, when he did that. Oh, yeah. Over the ring post. They said that was a Bret Hart move.
And then also when he did that kick off of the turnbuckle trying to pin Gunther. And Corey Graves said that, and I was glad he did that. That was exactly how Bret Hart beat Piper for that same title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you better hope something can happen soon because his movie career sucks. I don't like him as an actor.
I don't think he's been doing anything the last couple of years except for...
He did one movie that I kind of liked, but the rest of them I didn't like at all.
Let's see. Filmography. The last actual role he did was Marine 6. That was 5 years ago.
There's 6 of those movies?
Yeah.
But he did some like guest hosting or was hosting some shows for a while there, trying his hand as that. Apparently, they mentioned, but either way, he should just stick to wrestling. And
one of his that I really enjoyed was Santa's Little Helper. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the holiday movie.
Yeah.
I don't guess I've seen
Holiday in Handcuffs.
Oh, it was Holiday in
The one
Handcuffs?
that you like is Holiday in Handcuffs.
Was that the
Mia
Miz?
Kunis.
I don't know.
Yes, that was the Miz.
Okay, but I thought he, but yeah, I knew nobody was gonna. I thought he, the only way I thought for a while there that the other two jabronis were going to come out, and that was the only way that Miz might have won, is distracted Gunther because they shouldn't have been there. And Miz good at taking advantage of those situations. Somebody gets distracted, and he's going to take advantage of it. you know. But
I think they're kind of pushing him towards heel. I mean, babyface more. Um, I guess it would kind of go now. With that being said, he had two low blows on Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it may be that you still got the crowd behind you, but you're still going to do
Oh yeah.
a couple things to do what it
And
takes to win.
he's only 43 years old, so he's still got some years left.
You gotta give Miz credit. He put on one hell of a show. He gave Gunther almost everything he had, and almost had him a few times there.
Yeah, and I don't think Gunther was expecting him to be.
No, I think Gunther underestimated him a bit. Is what I think.
To be honest, and this is not a knock on him, but to be honest, it's very easy to underestimate the Miz because he hadn't really done much the last couple of years.
Right.
So it's very easy to underestimate him. But when you think about his career, he has done some really, really big things, and he was never even supposed to have been a success of any kind. And look at his track record.
Oh yeah, he got a successful track record and a belt record as well.
Yeah.
He's held some belts and some titles for sure.
Have either one of y'all seen the documentary with him?
No.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Documentary?
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe called The Miz, but basically it's the way that most of them are doing now with the documentaries, they're following one superstar from where they began and their run up through.
I haven't seen that one yet.
oh, is this on their network?
Yeah,
Okay, I wasn't even aware of it.
it's been out for several years now.
I've been watching Dark Side of the Ring on Vice.
I haven't seen any of their shows, but I want to.
and but I did watch some of the stuff, and I always find it fascinating, and I hate to say this because some people still believe wrestling's real. Okay. Me, I consider it kind of like they do sports entertainment or whatever. It's like a men's soap opera. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But I like to see the other side of their characters because we all know that, these characters like Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're characters. It's an in-ring persona. Outside the ring, they're totally somebody else, And some of these things, like I saw Miz on, he has that kind of reality show where it's at home with him and his wife.
Biz and Mrs.
Yeah, and there was one episode I saw where you had Daniel Bryan over there and stuff, and during wrestling at the time they were feuding.
Right.
But here you see the reality show and they're sitting there like they're best buddies. I think that is cool as hell.
And I think, for the most part, I mean, there's always going to be people that don't get along with other people at their work.
Right. Well, there will be that,
But you've got a lot of superstars that are very close to other superstars they feud with. And
because they trust each other when they're in the ring. And that trust is an important thing so that neither one of you suffer an injury because we all know some of those injuries are real. Others are scripted just so the guy can take a break for a while.
Right.
Because he needs a vacation.
Yeah, for the most part, I can see where they're different outside the ring, but you've got some that take the character like Undertaker. I mean, he was Undertaker 24/7. He never gave into the breaking the stigma of his.
But I bet behind closed doors he was Mark.
Right.
You know, I
And
mean,
I really enjoy after he retired and all the documentaries and the interviews and all this stuff started popping up. It's like, man, it's finally good to see the behind the scenes
Yeah.
person behind the character.
well, I learned at a young age because my dad, when I'm old. Okay, let's just get over that. I'm old, but I go back to watching wrestling in the '70s. You know, as a 7, 8 year old boy being taken to Edgewood College here, and we're watching AWA wrestling, right? And that's before all the glitz and the glamour and the intros and all that stuff, right? So, and Andre was first being introduced, and oh my God, I couldn't believe how big that son of a bitch was, you know. But it took me, I'll never forget the day I was actually an adult at this time, and I was still watching wrestling. I was going to a WWF match back then, okay? And I was standing in line at the concession stand right behind the Bushwhackers, those two guys. And I never knew it until they started talking a little bit, and there's that Australian accent, and I realized who they were. And I got starstruck. So I didn't say anything to them. But what I did observe is these guys were dressed in like really nice suits and sweaters and all of this. They talked with like real sophisticated voices when they were ordering their meals and stuff. And it's like I went and looked them up when I got home. Did some research. Motherfuckers had college degrees, and they acted like a couple of idiots in the ring.
How old are you, Joe?
I will be. What will I be?
56?
He doesn't even know.
56?
No, 57.
57?
Okay, you got a couple of years on me.
I'll be 57 in March. I was born in 67.
Okay.
I was born in '71, so you got just a couple more years on
My
me.
wife was born in 72.
Okay.
Damn, I'm still up compared to you. Okay, so back at it. Gunther and Miz. I would have been surprised to see him win the title, but it would be nice to see him win it.
It would have been.
Yeah. But it's gonna be a big thing for Gunther to lose.
And they've got plans for him yet, I think.
I think after his showing at the Rumble and at WrestleMania, that's when they realized this guy is the deal.
I mean, he didn't have his little jabronis out there, as The Rock would say. I mean, he was out there, and this was a total fair fight, fair match. I mean, other than the Miz's low blows, but the ref didn't see it, so it didn't count.
Yeah, it's only cheating if you don't get caught.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, I was glad that they weren't out there either because this gave him a fair shot.
Right.
Even though he was clearly outgunned, he surprised everybody that he almost won the title.
I'd say he took him to the distance.
He did. And I was expecting that. I figured that he would get closer than anybody has, just like Chad Gable a couple months ago. He took him to the distance too. I think this took him just a little bit further.
Chad Gable got taught the wrestling in WWE by one of the best, I mean, and he also kind of followed in his mentor's footsteps, as in Kurt Angle. I mean, look at everything Chad, shush and all of that. It takes you back to Kurt Angle. Thank you. It's the stuff Kurt Angle used to do.
Yeah. Well, when Kurt Angle was in his prime, I wasn't watching wrestling.
So, but I think Chad Gable could go a lot further than Kurt Angle ever did.
Yes, he could.
Well, so far he doesn't have the injuries that Kurt had.
Right. That's what slowed Kurt down was the injuries.
Yeah. And Kurt's injuries occurred before he even became a wrestler.
Right.
His neck during the wrestling during the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. He broke his neck during the Olympics, finished and won. He won with a broken neck.
Okay. Next match. This almost seemed sort of like a throwaway match in a way. Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee was
Man, what the hell happened with that match?
I don't know. It was brief. It was
I
supposed
was
to be Carly.
expecting more.
Huh?
I was expecting more out of Dragon Lee. He came in there and it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's like you just threw it away.
You know, it's like he was like throwing it away or something.
Dragon Lee did a couple things out there that somebody his size should not have been able to do.
Yeah, but he got off to a very slow start, is what I'm saying. You know, he kind of like was like, what the hell? You could have gotten out of that or, you know, avoided that. Or
I think this match here was in a way to lead Santos versus Ray. I think that match is going to end up happening at WrestleMania.
yeah, it's gonna have to happen.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they took Carlito out because he needs to have that singles match at a big pay-per-view. This would have been a good one.
I think it's broke.
Yeah, I'd have much rather seen Carlito and Escobar.
Yeah, that would have been a better match.
Unless he's, really injured, with the arm. Who knows?
It could have happened.
Or
Yeah.
something
Maybe
happened the past week and they just threw that together last minute.
yeah. That's probably more likely what happened. He's actually not clear to wrestle.
Right.
For what reason. But the match went pretty quick. It may have been time restraints.
7 minutes and 40 seconds according to this.
They may have not had much time because the 2 War Games matches were pretty long.
Well, that Dragon Lee, I don't think his head was even in the match to begin with.
Yeah.
You know.
But you throwing somebody in there and you really don't have a
Yeah, he
going with it.
yeah, he shouldn't have taken the match, I don't think. 24 hours, less than 24 hours to prepare because this match occurred, the night before. Because they took Carlito out on SmackDown. So and he steps in, and it's
To
like,
me, it had the feeling of a dark match.
I was hoping he was going to win. I didn't call that one very well, but Escobar was on a mission.
If they're pushing Escobar for Mysterio, he's going to have a few wins before then.
Well, right, and he was on a mission, last night.
And this might be why they ended up having Dragon Lee in this match instead of Carlito, because Carlito just returned after how many years? And
Wow.
I would think that you probably don't want him to lose his first pay-per-view singles match, which is probably why Dragon Lee got it.
Speaking of Carlito again, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Carlito in when they first did the spin-off, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Eddie Guerrero that started it, the LWO. Wasn't Carlito one of the original members of the LWO? way back in the day when it split from the NWO?
No, that was in WCW. This was
Yeah, that'd have
before
been.
Carlito became a wrestler.
Yeah, that was way back.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
long before that.
He premiered in WWE or WWF at that time. He was in a tag team because I just watched
Because
part of
I'm,
that.
I'm just going because of the complaining that was going on about him, Escobar complaining how why he should be part of the LWO and stuff. But Ray and him had history in the past, anyways. But I thought he was way back in the day, but I forget.
The original
I'm old.
members, the original members were Ray, Psychosis, La Parca, Hector Garza. I don't remember him being there.
Wow.
And Juventud Guerrero. That was the original.
Oh, I thought it was Eddie and Ray. Was the original. I always thought it was Eddie and Ray that was the original.
Let's see.
Yeah, that was back in the time when you had several sets of NWO.
Oh yeah, the Wolf Pack, right
Yeah.
there.
There it is. Yeah, it did start with that. No, Rey Mysterio became a member after he lost to somebody. Rey Mysterio was forced to become a member after losing a match to Eddie Guerrero.
Oh,
That's what it was. That's how.
okay.
Eddie
I knew it
was
was something about Eddie, and I knew it was something to do with Eddie. And
Yeah, Eddie and Conan started, but Conan left them to join Wolfpack.
yep,
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And then
that whole era was a mess with the NWO. It got out of control. It really did.
after a year and a half, NWO was the hottest thing, and then it became very stale when they started doing Wolfpack, Black and White, Latino.
Yeah, all the different spin-offs of it.
Well, you had Ravens Flock back then too, which was not NWO, but you had these.
Oh, I forgot about Raven.
Yeah, I loved watching Raven.
The late
Not mistaken, he was
90s
trained
became
by.
very game oriented. Because with Ravens Flock and then ECW, hi Chris, and then ECW came out with the Blue World Order, which was ridiculous. And then at the same time, WWF had all of these games, Los Barricas, Disciples of Apocalypse, Nation of Domination. We had all of these at the same time. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that they have a habit of rehashing ideas too much. They still do that a lot. I think that's where we first saw The Rock was in the Nation of Domination. I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Rock, and
He was by himself, but then he joined up with.
right, and then
Later,
his career took off after that.
it did.
Now he's bigger than any wrestler out there because everybody knows who he is. He's like a household name with all the movies.
Yep, he's like Hogan back was in the '80s. Everybody knows who that is.
Compared to The Rock, Hogan's movies sucked.
I
I agree with that.
I cannot argue with that. But at the same time, a lot of the movies made back in the '80s, classic as they are, don't hold a candle to a lot of the movies made.
Well, that's because of technology.
Yes.
Hogan's acting sucked. One of these days we got to do a wrestling show and rate all the movie actors that are wrestlers turned movie actors from the best to the worst.
Or just do an episode where we're focusing on one superstar and their movies. You know, we start off with Hogan. You know,
They could do a lot of them. They could do one on Hogan. They can do one on
Burt.
Piper. Let's see, The Rock. Who else?
Jesse the Body was in Predator.
Yes.
Jesse the Body Ventura, The Rock.
And in the other movies.
Oh shit!
Telephone.
I'll mute this.
That's your phone. That's your ringtone. Okay.
I thought it was a grandchild.
But no, I think the whole thing about Santos and Dragon was to further Santos as this big bad heel, and that's why Dragon Lee was put in there instead of Carlito, because it wouldn't make any sense to have him lose his first match on his first singles match.
Well, that too, and if you put Carlito in there, somebody's got to lose, unless they do a double DQ or something like that. Now that would have worked.
It could have, but I think
If
I wanted Santos to look more solid, and the DQ finish wouldn't really work for that.
they would have done something to where they're in the ring and they're going at it back and forth, and then they start
Maybe a double DQ or a
Going
double
outside. going outside the ring and just going at it back and forth. Just all kind of stuff, and then get counted out, double count out.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
That way, neither one of them lose any clout, and you still have a good match.
I expect there to be something happening at the Rumble, probably in the Rumble match itself between those two.
Yeah,
And maybe,
Ray in there too.
yeah. Huh?
I said maybe Ray in there too.
Let's see. He just had the surgery.
Depending on how fast he recuperates.
He's
Yeah,
got- What surgery did he have? Was his knee?
his knee. Yeah.
By the way, Jeremy, yes.
Yeah.
By the way, yes, that was my ringtone on my cell phone.
But
I got it because it sounds like my granddaughter. So
I remember years ago, a friend of mine. I don't even remember who it was, but a friend of mine had a ringtone where when it starts ringing, "Hey, I'm ringing. Pick me up. Ring, pick me." I loved that ringtone.
I change it up every once in a while.
But no, I think we're going to end up seeing Santos and Carlito at Elimination Chamber.
that could be.
Yeah, this will give Carlito a chance to build his legacy back up, and then maybe lose to Santos under some controversy, and then Ray comes back, and it's Ray and Santos at WrestleMania. That's what I'm guessing.
That's what I
It
Yeah,
could
we
be.
should go on of course, it'll be a little while. We could, as of right now, what matches do you see coming at WrestleMania?
Right.
Of course, the storylines are crazy right now. You really can't pick anything, but I see, Damien, we talked about it before, Damien Priest leaving Judgment Day.
He needs
I got a
to.
lot to say about Damien when we get to that last match. And Gunther, there's a lot of talk of him and Brock at WrestleMania. They teased it at the Rumble this year, and people thought maybe those two would go at it at WrestleMania this year, which I would have liked to have seen. But there's talk of Gunther and Brock at WrestleMania next year, which may actually end up being Brock's retirement match.
It'd be a hell of a match.
They would have to, they would definitely have to push Gunther.
Well, that'd be like passing the torch.
Right. It wouldn't make no sense for Brock to win, if you're, at the end of your career. It's that time to pass it on.
But they could make it a match to be talked about for generations.
They would.
You know,
If we thought that the match that Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus had was brutal, and it was brutal, I think it'd be just as brutal with those two.
that would be a good match to see.
Yes. Up next is Rhea Ripley and Zoe Stark.
Huh.
Now, I remember telling Donald about this. It wasn't a great match, but I thought Zoe had a great showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's, I think they got plans for her down the road.
I saw her coming when she came into the Rumble this year and lasted as long as she did. Ever since then, I have been watching her, and I think you're right. I think they're going to do something big for her at some point.
Yeah.
You knew Rhea wasn't going to lose. Just she's the women's champion right now. She's going to stay there till probably at least Mania. The way they got titles set up now and the long runs that they're having, I don't see any other avenue where they would lose a title. It has to be at Mania. If any of them lose, I see Roman losing at Mania.
I think Roman's losing too because they talked about he's at the end of his career and mentioned that he wants to move into acting. But the problem is he's only had one movie credit as far as I know.
It was a very small part.
Very small. It wasn't even.
It was that, what was it, Hobbs? The one with Hobbs and Shaw where they went to the island?
I think so. It was one of those movies.
It was the one that they went to the island of Samoa.
Yeah. I think it
In
was
the Furious franchise. You had basically that entire Anoa'i family. That entire Anoa'i family was part of that movie for a small, brief, that period where they went to Samoa. Because I saw Fatu in there. I noticed him. I recognized the Usos in that film. I don't know if they were all credited or not, but there was quite a few of them in there that I recognized. Past and present, past and current.
See if I can find it.
I kind of going back to Chris's comment about Cody and Roman too. I could see that happening, unless the only way that is excuse me, if the not available.
Personally, I don't want to see that happen. I don't know. I just don't think that Cody is really the guy to do it. That's just my opinion. I don't really know how to explain it.
You need somebody bigger and badder than Roman.
Gunther would be the guy to do it.
Yeah, I'd say Gunther or Randy.
Oh, Randy.
It would be a good match.
I mean, I've seen. I said it when I first saw him. I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, but his father was a joke compared to him. When I saw Randy at a very young age, I said he's going to do things his father probably only dreams of doing in the wrestling business. And he did in a very short period of time.
Yes.
You know,
I was,
Cowboy Bob Barton, at the end of his career, he was kind of a joke, walking around with a cast on his arm all the time.
yeah. When Randy first came out, I was not a fan of him at all. I didn't like
Oh,
him.
I've been a fan of his since day one.
Yeah, I did not like
I didn't
him.
like his attitude, but I just said that he was going to be bigger than his dad.
Yeah, over time he grew on me, and now I think he has some of the best moves of what other people do, like that body slam of his. So smooth.
Yeah, and the RKO out of nowhere. Just I don't know how many different times I've seen that put on, and guy jumping off the top turnbuckle. And he's got the RKO on it before he hits the mat.
Yeah, and that one they did last night, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
KO off the top. I was like,
Yeah, it is not going to get any bigger than that.
no, that was huge.
Let's get back to Rhea and Zoe. I think, yes, Zoe, they are going to do some big things, and Rhea, I believe, will hold on to the title until WrestleMania, and she finally loses it. But right now, the question is, who is it going to be? Because I see a number of them that I'm expecting big things. One being Zoe, one being Shotzi. I'm really high on Raquel.
I like Raquel.
Yeah.
I like her. I see big things for her future.
But the way that she comes across is that she's too nice. She needs to get bad and bitter.
I think she's heading that way, though.
Yeah.
And they're going that way with her. She comes back and she's just a little bit more pissed off.
Yep.
Than because she got injured or taken out for a week or 2 weeks or something. And she comes back and she's just like got revenge in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She needs to keep holding that, and she can't lose it.
Yeah, Shotzi got a face full of mist last night.
She can't, but she needs to lose it, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, Shotzi got a face. I forgot about that. Asuka did that mist into Shotzi's face.
Yeah, but you gotta expect that when you're wrestling Asuka. It's kind of like become her trademark.
It has.
I mean, that goes back. How many different wrestlers have used that before her? And they've all been Japanese.
The Great Kabuki. Back in Mid-South days, used to have it.
Yeah.
I remember him spraying the Junkyard Dog. Yeah, the Great Muda. That's it.
Yeah, the Great Muda.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, he sprayed the Junkyard Dog. Oh man, I remember that match too.
Remember the Freebirds?
Fabulous Freebirds.
I think they wound up.
Michael P.S. Hayes.
Terry Gordy.
And then there was Jimmy Garvin.
Yeah, Buddy Rogers was in there too.
There was a number of them.
I saw Bam Bam Gordy at a house show here in town years ago. He was fighting this big guy, and man, they fought all over that dang Coliseum. I mean, and it was wound up being I think a disqualification on Gordy, but man, they were out of the ring, they were in the crowd, they were by a stage, they were hitting each other with garbage cans. Man, it was freaking wild.
Yeah, I remember seeing a lot of matches like that, and it was, and the crowd gets so excited because now all of a sudden you're right next to the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, it was the Hobbs and Shaw movie
Yeah.
that woman was in. Um, there's a number of people listed, but not the actual family members. There are like one of them is from New Zealand. Uh,
Well, they sure did look like a lot of them, you know.
well, like you said, they might not have been credited.
Credited either, but
Yeah, so chances are they on IMDb they would be listed as uncredited, but on Wikipedia they don't list the entire cast.
well, I could have swore and I've watched those quite a few times. I'm a big fan of the franchise. So
Fast and Furious.
yeah, yes.
I wasn't at first, but I became a fan later.
You know, I'm not a fan of what it created as in some of this younger generation in their cars and kind of racing through town thinking they're hot shit.
Yep.
I like the first few of them. They started getting kind of really crazy with some of the
Yeah.
stuff they were doing.
I was never a fan of sequels, but I have watched them all so far.
Actually, I think one more came out.
The thing that threw me off in the beginning is that they kept bringing back that Han guy.
Yeah, I know. I still can't figure that out
Well, that's because
because he died in the Tokyo Drift.
he died in the first movie, but then they started two through.
No, he died in Tokyo Drift when the car blew up.
Yeah, they didn't.
Was it?
They didn't kill him off. They just had him. You know.
All the movies are not linear. They're not in chronological order.
It doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't. You're right. Um,
I figured that out because of the Han thing.
but they are not completely in order. The Tokyo Drift, the next three movies after that are actually set before Tokyo Drift, and then the movie that he comes back saying he faked his death is supposed to be the immediate sequel to Tokyo Drift.
It's all mixed up.
Yeah, it's all mixed up the way that they did it. But yeah, when I first started watching the entire the first 8 movies, first time ever, back to back to back, and it threw me off until it got to the point. Oh, he's really still alive, but these movies are before it. It's all messed up. Moving on. um, Yeah, with Rhea, I don't know who will end up being the one to knock her off with the title.
There's also Nia Jax as a possibility in my book because she's
No.
hungry and pissed off.
Yeah,
God, I hope not. I hope not.
Hey, you never underestimate them Samoans. She's part of that lineage. You know, that The Rock and Roman, and she's related to all of them. The Usos.
hi Eileen.
Oh yeah, Lane.
I mean, I don't know if they'll ever give it to her,
Yeah, my whole.
you know, because WWE might not want her holding that belt, you know.
Chris brought up a good point. Jade Cardrell.
Now, whoever they have beat her, you know, they're going to have a rematch. Unless
That might be a while for Jade Cardell, but
she has an injury.
according to Triple H, they're still working with her.
Speaking of Jade, I think they're going to wait until the Rumble to bring her on.
Sorry, Eileen. I just got off work this morning.
That's right, Donald. If you went to help, they'd be done by now.
Oh, well, she's like a woman. She'll want this thing moved over here, and then, oh, I changed my mind. I want it moved over here. No, it looks better over there. Put it back where
I'd
it
like to
was.
say who would take Rhea's belt, but I don't know if they're going to take it for a while.
I'm
I think-
expecting it to happen at WrestleMania.
If it does, it's going to happen at WrestleMania.
Wouldn't it be something if Jade debuted at the Rumble, her first WWE match, and she wins the Rumble?
That would be something else.
Yes. I'm going to make that call right now. I'm saying that Jade is going to be the one to win it.
She's going to show up and win that Rumble, huh?
That's my prediction. I don't know who will win the men's Rumble. I'm hoping it's not Cody because I want to see someone else. But I'm calling Jade. to be the one to win it.
Well, I think Gunther might win it. The men's Rumble. He said he was in it.
He would be a heavy favorite.
He said he was in it. And he was on that press conference interview. And it was very interesting, some of the stuff he had to say. And Gunther turned around and said he was entered into the Royal Rumble.
I caught that. Him. Oh, I didn't know Bully Ray was mentioning that. I caught that he said he was in the Rumble. I'm thinking, wait a minute, they're not going to start announcing people in the Rumble until mid-December.
That's kind of like one of those things that he probably wasn't supposed to say, but is already, some of those things are known well in advance.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes and kept under lock and key.
And here's what I would like to see, because we have not seen this yet, is somebody being the runner-up one year and then winning it the next year. They have never done that, and with Gunther, this would be a great opportunity to do it. But herein lies the problem. He is the Intercontinental Champion now. If he wins the Rumble this year, he's going into the world title match for the WrestleMania. He needs to drop that belt unless they let him win both belts and then vacate it.
Why not?
Warrior.
Why not? The women held. Becky held both of the world heavyweight titles.
Huh?
They let Becky hold both heavyweight titles.
Yeah, but they were both.
Why not let the men hold two titles at the same time?
But I would hate to see, with this being the longest reign ever, I would hate to see him vacate it and nobody beat him for it. That doesn't seem right
Like
to
they
me.
did with Warrior.
Yeah, but he wasn't on a record-setting pace for that title.
But you don't know what they're going to do anymore. They've become a little more unpredictable now. Now that Vince McMahon hasn't really got much to say on how things get run.
Actually, from what I've read, he's been taken completely out of it.
Right. So now you've got his daughter and Triple H in charge.
I don't think Stephanie is. I think Stephanie's.
Well,
I think she's with the
she-
company.
if she wanted to, she could say, "Hey, why don't you guys do this?" And Vince can work that way.
Yeah. Either way, she's in charge.
Yeah.
And the other one, what's the other one? I forgot his name. Shane.
Shane.
Shane really doesn't want much to do with the company. So
That still sucked that he tore his
comes
quad.
comes and goes, comes and goes, comes and goes all the time.
Well, he's got that. You think about the amount of money they have.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta work. Let's go. I'm gonna go vacation instead
Yep.
of being down.
Yeah,
and
they don't
beat to it.
do it anymore. Ever.
I'm gonna retire early back here.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephanie grew up with it. She loves the business. She's going to have her hands in it somehow, always, for as long as she possibly can.
But I am glad that Triple H is the face of WWE.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he is. At first, I thought, I don't think he would be good, but he turned out he's great at it.
He's different. He's different. He's not a wrestler anymore.
Yeah, but he used to be. So he goes from that perspective because he brings in all that experience. Where a lot of times, sometimes they brought in people who had no experience in wrestling trying to make these decisions. That was what was killing WCW in its early years.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, the time that these companies are really flourishing is when they had former wrestlers doing the booking, doing the decision making on all of that.
I think we're going to see some big things from them. I think it's about time WWE got some fresh blood and younger blood at the helm, you know. And I think, Triple H or Paul, whatever you want to call him, is going to bring that because he's played both sides of it, heel,
Yep.
the baby face, for many years and was good at it. But I think he's going to bring a whole different perspective to reinventing WWE and moving it forward like it needs to be moved.
And the fact that Sean is in charge of NXT,
Yeah.
I think is a good move.
Yep.
Too.
Yep. One of those on the list as the greatest Intercontinental Champion.
He does.
He's on that list.
And world champion too.
Right.
Okay, the last match is the men's War Games match. And this one was interesting. First, the whole thing with Randy Orton.
They played us like a fiddle.
Now I text Jeremy on the backside. I said, I see them, Randy not coming out. I said, it's going to be a no-show until he's going to be the last man in. I said, it's going to pop and that music's going to hit and people are going to go nuts.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Because I was wondering why would you announce it that he's going to be there beforehand and then just have him show up? It's like, you're killing that big pop.
No.
You're going to get a pop. But, I see where they're coming from now. It's like we book him, we more or less announce that he's going to be there. That way you got all that extra hype built up to see him come back. But then you still have the mystery of, hey, he's not showing up.
Is he here? Is he not here? Is he here? Is he not here? And that's what the whole audience was thinking at the time. And they blew the roof right off the place when that music came on.
Oh, yeah.
And he started coming out.
And I don't think he would have had as big a pop if he came out with the guys and then just stood in the cage.
I agree. They did it right.
Yeah.
They did it right.
Yeah, they did that right. Exactly
Now,
right.
When he first started coming to the ring and kind of going in, you had most of the guys were down. And it was like, oh crap. I said, I wonder if he's going to come in and immediately just turn.
Turn on Jay.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do.
When he first come in.
And he teased it too.
Yeah, he did.
He teased the Jay.
He turned toward Jay. Jay looked at him, was like, I haven't forgotten.
Did you say he did that thing?
That was a great spot right there.
Well, then after the match, and I know we're going pass a little bit, but after the match, I saw a couple of videos on TikTok where somebody was there filming, and they filmed after the the cameras went off, and it was um, Seth Rollins. He was going nuts outside the ring, pointing, flipping off.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely get into that one because I've heard that about him, and I've also heard that about Drew as well. He wasn't real happy. Um, but the RKO from the top of the cage, he had to move quick in order to.
Yeah, and it was more or less I watched the replay of it in the slow motion. It was more like, he just kind of caught him a little bit and helped him down.
But the thing is, one wrong move, he could have snapped his neck from
Oh yeah,
from that high up.
No.
And the referee went right to him.
yeah. Are you okay? He didn't
Yeah.
move for a while.
Well, even if he wasn't hurt in real life, a move like that's going to put you down.
They're going to knock the wind out of you.
And did you see my comment, Donald, about him doing the arrow move?
Mhm.
It was after he came in, Damian Priest. It was after he came in and did
Oh
something.
yeah.
That was calling back to when he debuted in NXT.
I remember that move. Yeah, I thought he did that.
He came in, he comes into the ring, and then he's facing the Titantron,
Right?
and he does that. He
I
releases
thought he did that.
the team comes up. That was the coolest thing ever, and I am so glad he did that again. And I'm hoping that when he turns, and we all know he's going to turn, that he brings that in again. And imagine if he does that on WrestleMania, he shoots the arrow, and then his name comes up.
See, I think he's going to turn before WrestleMania.
I'm-
And
He's going to turn last night.
and when he does, that's going to turn him into like instant baby face, right?
Yeah.
So here's your card: Roman versus Damian Priest,
What if he's the one who wins the Rumble?
and takes out Roman, ends the reign.
I don't think he's big enough just yet.
I don't know.
What?
He's had a lot of disappointments. Look how many times people have spoiled him cashing in that Money in the Bank. And he's running out of time. He's only got a year to cash that in.
Yeah, Randy spoiled it last night.
Yeah, Randy spoiled that last night.
Randy spoiled that. Sami Zayn spoiled it very hilariously. That was funny.
I wasn't a big fan of Sammy's, but he's grown on me.
Sammy, when he first started, seemed like he was just going to be another run of the mill indie darling, but not really amounting to much. Then when he started doing that whole conspiracy, okay, I was going to stand up, but it was really annoying to me.
Yeah.
And then when he got with the bloodline, that's when everything changed.
Yep.
I don't think WWE intended for him to get over the way that he did. The way for him, it was so organic. They had to do something.
Yeah.
And he really made you believe he was going to beat Roman last year for those titles.
Well, I think Roman's. I mean, I like the Samoans. I never bet against them, but this thing with Roman and the tribal chief and all of that is getting a little old. I mean, they pushed that too far with the bloodline and stuff, and I think that's another reason Jay's over on Monday Night Raw, besides looking for a solo career.
Jay has really come out on his own.
Well, yeah, they didn't call him main event Jay for nothing. I mean, when his brother was hurt, he really stepped up and did a lot of solo stuff for a long time there, and was really good at it.
Chris,
That I feel
Chris-
bad for Jimmy because I'm getting the feeling that Jimmy is going to end up being the Marty Jannetty of the two. And Jimmy is just as talented as Jay is, and I'm feeling bad for him.
Well, yeah, you can't take away either one of them because they do have one hell of a tag team record together. You
Yeah.
know? And, you know, it kind of pissed me off a little bit. And I've always had a lot of respect for the Samoans because of the history. They go way back. I mean, when I started investigating, when I heard Roman was related to The Rock and all of this, and I started investigating it all, and found out Yokozuna was part of the family and all of that, I just kept digging and digging.
That was such a shock.
Yeah, that was a shock to me. So I just kept digging and digging. So I had a lot of respect for Roman, plus having the leukemia and all of this. And I knew the good guy thing was, you know, he had a turn. You know, after that certain point, Paul Heyman comes in. I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, he had to turn because
He had to turn to the bad guy. But at this point,
it wasn't working.
I've been watching Roman, and I think a lot of his non-defense thing right now has got a lot to do with his health more than anything else, and they're trying to hide it for as long as possible so they can find somebody to defeat him.
Yeah, and it makes sense for him to be the champion because now they can explain this away. Because if he wasn't champion, then there'd be a lot of questions. Well, why isn't he here so much?
And
So
then,
by being champion and negotiating all of this stuff, that explains everything away without actually
right.
saying.
And I think once he loses that title, he's going to announce his retirement, or he's going to announce it, and then he'll announce his health issue.
That seems to be the general consensus.
You know, because he's making appearances, but he's not wrestling.
Right.
You know, so he's, you know, out there speaking or sitting there in the back, and the cameras are on him, and he's sitting in the chair. But I've been, you know, and you got to realize I've been through what he's going through as far as his health goes, you know, and I can see some of the signs, and I'm thinking it's back a little bit, and he's getting treatments, you know, and they're hoping to catch it early enough. And I think that's the only reason it's came back, or he really relapsed so many times, you know, is they caught it early, and he didn't have to have like a bone marrow transplant, or just a blood transfusion, or the chemo just worked or something.
I did notice this, and I think I brought it up to Don. At Jewel, when he was facing LA Knight, he seemed to be breathing a lot harder, a lot earlier than he used to.
And if you notice, if you hit Roman just right, remember, I don't remember who did it, but he got a really bad concussion. Do you remember that match?
No, I don't.
You got a really bad concussion. I think it might have been from somebody like Randy or something like that. Just, you know.
So last year.
I don't know, but all I know is it's an old injury. But if he gets hit just right, and you know how LA Knight's got that one punch, and he hits him just right, and he goes down, and he's kind of like holding his face just like a certain way. It's like the injuries affecting him, the old injuries affecting him still.
Oh, no, I haven't noticed that.
And I think it was a concussion that he got.
Huh.
And if you watch some of the matches and Roman gets hit just right in the jaw, it's like he's holding that side of his face for quite a while, and he's like really out of it for a few seconds, longer than somebody that never had a concussion before. You can see that it's affecting him different than any ordinary wrestler.
No, I
I
have
tend to notice things. I tend to be pretty observant sometimes because I used to be security for so long, and a private investigator for a while. So, yeah, I get to notice these things. Plus, I notice the signs when it comes to leukemia, especially AML.
Well, you would know, so.
So,
And that also explains the tag matches that he had been, like when it was him and Solo against the Usos.
and Solo did most of the work.
Yep. Yeah, so that's why I do believe that they are masking his health issues. We've been talking about that for a while.
That's because to the WWE, he's dollar signs. Ever since they split up the Shield, if you've noticed, ever since the Shield split up, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns haven't been on the same show. When they've done the Monday Night Raw SmackDown split, they've always been traded to one or the other. They've guest appeared on the other show once in a while, but they've never, because they want to keep them separate, because individually Seth Rollins makes them a big ton of money over on Monday Night Raw, and Roman Reigns is their moneymaker on SmackDown.
They are the two biggest stars that they've had for years.
Right.
And that kind of goes to a testament with all three of them, really, because right now all three of them are at the very top of their individual brands.
So, they need somebody that's capable of kind of filling those shoes on SmackDown and have Roman pass the torch to. And if that's going to happen, it's going to happen at a WrestleMania event.
It's the only place to happen.
Right.
Let's see.
I'm kind of looking up some stuff on Roman.
I thought Moxley was a champion, but I guess he's not anymore.
And then, by the way, I just want to say I called it. When I texted you, sent you the message last night before it happened, that CM Punk was going to show up.
Yeah, there's so much controversy with CM Punk.
I know, but I'm just saying. They were in his hometown.
I know, and everybody was expecting him to be there. I'm thinking that would be the place for him to come out, but I don't know if they would want him back because of the history that he has with them. And yeah. Chris is not a fan. He hates him.
I'm not a fan of CM Punk either, but I called it. That's all I'm saying.
See, I'd heard, through the grapevine and stuff, that, there was no contract signing and, they wasn't coming back. It's like,
apparently it was all done yesterday.
Yeah. And I was like, and that was a total surprise for me.
Well, new management. His beef was more with Vince McMahon. Think about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not an uncommon thing.
So Vince McMahon's out of the picture now. So new management, let's bring back CM Punk if we can.
You know, Triple H, they asked him about that during the pre-show
Yeah,
or the post-show,
yeah,
and
press conference.
he was really careful about what was
How he
coming out
answered
of his mouth.
He has to be.
Yeah, he was very smart with his answers.
Oh yeah, every one of his answers.
But the thing about CM Punk after what happened at All in England, um, first of all, I think parts of it may have been blown out of proportion, parts of it not. And the part that I think may have been blown out of proportion was Tony Khan saying he feared for his life. I don't think that would have ever gotten to that point. Um, the whole thing with him and Jack Perry, yeah, I believe all of that happened. But the whole thing with Tony Khan himself thinking that he felt like his life was threatened, I think was more of a personal opinion and maybe escalating it to make it sound worse to justify firing CM Punk. But with all of that happening just in October, August, between August and September, bringing him to WWE in November, that just seems really, really quick after all of that has happened.
Now, can I ask you a question, Jeremy?
Yeah.
All right, who is Tony Khan? Are these people like AEW?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I haven't been watching that one in a while. I was just curious, but I have a feeling now. Now, this is just a theory, okay, and I don't know why. I got a theory. Somehow, the powers that be at WWE have some tie-ins or some people over there that they communicate. They might not be in bed together, but they are, because I think they negotiate things like with the wrestlers and their contracts.
I have heard that some members of WWE have talked to those under contract with AEW in non-official ways to try to gauge whether they'd be interested in coming to them when their contracts are up or trying to get out of the contract. And Chris, it's not because of the 90-day clause. I'm thinking it's, yeah, that's another good point. I don't think it's because of the 90-day clause. I figured if anything, they probably would have waited a year to, or at least until next year, to let all of that stuff settle down, because everything like that is still fresh. But like Triple H said, people are talking about CM Punk.
Yeah.
Let's do
See?
something. Okay,
Right.
great. They're talking about him, but that does not necessarily mean that's a good thing.
Right. But sometimes, they're talking about him. He's in the headlines. They want him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of people wanted to see him because they were in Chicago. But I was still shocked because I did not think that they would ever bring him back because of the history that he had.
I didn't think he'd want to come back. I mean, he kind of made that clear in some past interviews that I actually read. They were like quoted word for word type thing.
Yeah.
And he basically made it perfectly clear he was not going back to WWE. So now that leads me under the other question about this is, are we going to see his wife next?
Somebody brought that up this morning. Maybe. But she is signed to an independent right now. But we know how that goes sometimes.
Right.
Well, you talk about somebody. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back. But if the money's right,
Right.
that stuff to the side.
I don't know. Something happened there because he's back. Yeah.
Now, my next question is: you've got all these big players. You got a lot of top guys right now. Is there going to be room for him in storylines? To be worth bringing back.
They don't have room for all the people they've got now. There are so many talented wrestlers today that are not seeing TV time because all the bigger names are getting it.
It's kind of like
that was the whole point of the brand extension.
It's kind of like the whole when they bought WCW and you brought everybody into the show. I mean, you got two large wrestling organizations now. Everybody's not going to get time. They're going to have to cut a lot of people out. And that's what started happening with WCW. They started cutting, a lot of those big names.
WCW as its own thing.
Yeah. I wish they would have kept it. I've said this a million times. I wish they'd have kept it two separate entities. You run WCW, you do WWF, you do cross stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
But with that said, though, I think at the time, WCW's reputation was pretty much ruined by the time WWF bought them out because of all the shit that Vince Russo had them do.
Well, I mean, it's a way to get a fresh start,
Yeah.
You could have really done it, and it was huge when it happened. Big news. I was like, oh my God, now we're going to get to see, Stone Cold and Goldberg. We're going to get to see those dream matches that we wanted for so long.
We never did.
And
no, not all of them.
They shipped them away.
We got Hulk and Rock. We did get that.
That was huge.
Yeah. But.
And that's when Hogan was getting more pops than The Rock during the match. And it was like, what the hell is going on?
They were not expecting that one.
No. Like, well, we got to run with it.
Yeah. But you know what? The fans want what they want.
That's right. If you see something, the universe is pushing to, it's like, all right, let's make a right turn here and join in with what they want.
And I think I was talking with Chris about this last night. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we were talking about if CM Punk was going to be face or heel. And I mentioned, what did I say? He's going to come out to Cheers because it's in Chicago.
Well, yeah, that's his hometown. He's got a lot of fans.
Yes. So they would have to wait it out to see how the rest of the cities. Was that with you, Chris? Okay. So they would have to see how crowds in other areas respond to him before they even start figuring out, okay, what are we going to do with him? Is he going to do face? Is he going to do heel? If anything, wait 6 months to a year before turning him heel if they're going to, at least gauge in on how the audience is responding to him.
Well, here's the other theory. They hold out, or he stays a heel for a while, or comes out as a good guy for a while till he gets fan base. And then when Roman loses at WrestleMania, well, guess what? CM Punk's a Paul Heyman guy.
That is true. That is true. And one thing I really hope that they don't do is have CM Punk win the Rumble. If they were going to have him win the Rumble, that should have been done years ago. Now I don't think it's the time. He is definitely not the guy to beat Roman, but I don't know.
If because we don't know all of the participants, but because Gunther kind of gave it away to us in this press conference thing, if he wins the Royal Rumble, he's got a shot.
He's got a shot.
But he's got a shot at either belt. But if he goes after Roman Reigns, he could probably beat him.
It could. And Chris brings up another point, Seth. Um, now, Seth Rollins has said in the past, as far as CM Punk goes, stay away, stay away from the locker. You're a cancer. He did not hold back at all.
Maybe that's why he was giving everybody the finger last night after the show, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. And I think this happened. When did Seth say that? Did he? I can't remember.
I remember him saying something about CM Punk, stay away, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the last time they were actually like a Monday Night Raw in Chicago or something.
But no, it was this year when he said that. But I can't remember if he said that before or after Punk got fired from AEW. If it was after he got fired, then this wouldn't be the first time Seth said something to the press because he was going to have a big match with him, because he did that same thing with Logan Paul.
Right.
And they had a great match at WrestleMania.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, because when you said something about somebody saying Rollins was out there after the show and giving the bird and flipping people off and cussing and all of this. The first thing that came to my mind is because CM Punk showed up.
Yeah. And Drew McIntyre, people are saying he wasn't very happy about it either.
Well, Drew McIntyre's got his own issues. I like Drew. The fact is that he came a long way since we first saw him, you know, with 3MB and all of that way back in the day as the first rookie team to come from NXT and all of this. But he's got his own issues. I mean, he can't be worrying about CM Punk.
No, but at the same time, with his contract is coming up next year, and he is kind of on the fence as to whether he's going to sign or not sign, because he's talking about wanting to take time off to spend with his family back home. This whole thing with CM Punk may be the tipping point for him not signing it.
Right. Could be.
And for all we know, it might be the same way for Seth. I don't know when his contract is up, but he may leave them and go to AEW and be with John.
You never know.
Because Roman's going to be gone by the end of next year. That's almost a sure thing. So he may go to AEW to be with his Shield buddy.
You know, Roman could end up over there after he, you know, as well, and have a Shield reunion on AEW.
Can you imagine if they did that?
That would be cool.
Yeah. But here's the thing, they would all have to have different names.
Yeah, that would suck.
We don't know what kind of deal Roman does have.
Or Seth.
Or Seth, yeah, because Hogan was able to get the rights to the name Hulk Hogan before he even left WWF. And that's the smart way to do it, is make sure you retain the rights to your name. Bret Hart did that.
Yeah.
Pre-WWF, no, well, I guess you could go back to Tyler Black. That's what Seth was for a long time. He was Tyler Black. Roman, did he really wrestle before he came to NXT?
I don't know. I don't think so. Before that, he had leukemia. Maybe he had plans to, but...
Yeah, that's what Ambrose did.
But he could have used his real name, though, too, for all we know.
And he did use his real name. Yeah, but I don't think Colby is necessarily a wrestler's name.
No, I'm talking about Roman.
Well, Chris meant he could use his. I don't know which one he was talking about.
Dean.
So yeah, it's going to be very interesting seeing what's going to happen with CM Punk. I know some people are already counting down to when he either gets tired of how things are going, he either leaves, or counting down to losing to somebody he doesn't want to lose to, or something. I
Something
know
he
people are
doesn't
already
like.
counting down. What's that?
Something he doesn't like.
Yeah.
You know, and those wrestlers. I mean, all right, those wrestlers know it's kind of like, oh,
Joe Roman.
actually, it's Joe Anoa'i. That Samoan name, Anoa'i. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's Anoa'i.
Something like that.
Yeah. His real name is actually Miyaki or something like that. Joe is his middle name.
Yeah.
Miyaki Anua.
You go back to his mom's name. When his mom, didn't we talk about that last show about his mother's name or his grandmother's name?
Oh, the one that had 25 letters in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not even gonna. You did like one of those things, Liati. Yes. Yeah, you did one of those things where you type it in and it pronounces it for you. There's no way. All I could make out was Ada.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a big family. I mean, you want to talk about wrestling royalty? There's some there.
One thing that I had noticed about that family is since the summer of '92, there has been at least one member of their family signed to that company since the summer of '92.
Yeah. Yeah, because you had Yokozuna, you had Rikishi, you
It
know,
started out
and then
with
you had The Rock, and then you got the Usos now, Roman Reigns,
the Usos.
Nia Jax, Tamina.
Yeah, that's
Because
it.
even Tamina's dad, Snuka, he was part of that family too.
Is he related to them?
Yeah, in a roundabout way. I did the research.
Okay, I didn't think he was. Um,
I think it's like Tamina's mom is in that family.
okay.
So
Umaga.
it's not really Jimmy Snuka as much as it is Tamina.
Okay. Umaga from between
Yeah,
Jamal and
the
Rose.
Ugandan giant or whatever they call them.
About Rosie.
Yeah. Rosie, Jamal. Um, and also, do you remember the Islanders with
Fatu.
no Haku and Tama?
Yeah, those guys, and Fatu was one of them as well.
Tama is actually Fatu's brother, I think.
And and then you got the Wild Samoans if you want to go back even further.
Yeah. But this here, what I'm talking about
Sika.
specifically is the continuous employment of the Samoan family with the World Wrestling, whatever you want to call them. Started out with Fatu and Samu, then it went to Yoko. Well, Fatu was there all the way through the mid 2000s,
Right.
and by the time he was done, the Usos were there, and so were 3 Minute Warning, and Usos been there ever since. And then you have other family members coming and going in between. So for 31 years,
Yeah.
they have been with them. That's a hell of a track record.
Actually, I think they've been no longer. haven't they?
Well, they have longer, but over broken periods of time.
Oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. 31 straight years.
Yes, continuous.
That is a long time.
Yeah. Otherwise, you got the Wild Samoans. You got Peter Maivia.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Deuce. I forgot about him. Jimmy Snooker Jr. I forgot about him.
Right.
So coming out of the men's War Games match, what big matches? I know that we're going to have Drew and Jay going at it at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Damien for sure is going to turn. I'm surprised he didn't turn last night. I was fully expecting that.
Yeah, I don't think he likes it. Everybody knows that mommy's in charge and he thinks he's in charge and I don't think he likes the fact that Finn Balor's little buddy there, I keep forgetting his name.
JD McDonough.
Yeah, McDonough. I don't think he likes the fact that they let him in. So, but I think it's about time he goes solo again.
Yes. I was fully expecting something to happen where JD was going to hit Damien, trying to hit somebody else, but that person ducks, and then he ends up hitting Damien. I'm not even. Yeah. And Damien finally snaps, goes after JD because I saw a thing where Finn and JD have been wrestling together for 20 years. These guys have known each other a very long time.
Yeah, and we all know Damien's got a temper. You know, early in his career, that's when he made his biggest mistakes when he was a soloist. You know, he was really good wrestler, don't get me wrong, but he'd lose his temper a little bit and he'd make a mistake, and the other guy, being a little bit more of a veteran, was able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, he's come a long way. It's about time he goes solo again. And he might have an easier time cashing in that Money in the Bank.
Yeah, because it seems he can't get it done.
Oh, everybody keeps it
last night.
And you know,
it's getting in his way.
And you know, I think that whole group is just holding him back.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what's going to wind up happening. You know, what if in the storyline they have it all the way to Money in the Bank the next, and he winds up basically having to forfeit it because he didn't turn it in?
They haven't done that yet, but I've been waiting. I think
that could happen too. I never thought of that because it's never happened before.
Yeah, you have a year.
Yeah, I know. You have a year from the time you win it to cash it in. And Money in the Bank is the first big event after WrestleMania, usually, right? Yeah. So yeah, that would make sense. That would be a trip.
And that, you know, if they let it.
And then he goes and starts blaming all the Judgment Day.
Yeah, if they let it go that long, you know, turn him after Money in the Bank, because they basically screwed him out of turning it in.
I'm trying to see who had the briefcase. Okay, here we go. 47.
You know, all those interferences he had that cost him, and a few of those that cost him the turn in of the briefcase. A few of those incidents, some of the Judgment Day cost him that a few times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, Edge had the briefcase for 280 days, which is the longest any wrestler has held it.
Wow. Who was that?
Edge.
Edge?
Damien right now is at 147, so he's just barely more than halfway.
Well, Edge had
See, maybe that's what they're
Guerrero.
trying to do.
What?
Wasn't Edge and Vicky Guerrero together at that time?
I think so. What if Damien wins the Rumble? And I think Chris said something about that.
Yeah, he
Damien
did.
wins the Rumble. He loses to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then he cashes in on Roman and wins it.
Yeah, because he takes Roman to the limit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That would be something cool and
It would.
different. That would be something different.
It would be.
You know,
So Damien would definitely be a favorite along with Gunther.
right?
I would lean more towards Damien.
Yeah, me too. Because when Damien first came over from NXT and I saw him for the first time, because I wasn't watching NXT at all then, and man, I was impressed. You know,
Sexton Hardcastle?
I mean, for a big guy, he can move, and
But
he's
he's got
quick.
to get away from.
Yeah, they're holding him back.
They've got to get rid of those titles. They got to separate them
Yep, I agree.
and have him.
Remake them and put them back on SmackDown and Raw where they belong.
Oh, okay.
You
If
know.
they would do it, have him split Judgment Day and him take one title, and then keep another one. Then say Dominic could jump in there.
Or have them lose the titles.
At some point in time, they gotta split it up.
Yeah, they got to split it up, which is why they
Well-
need to do something with Damien and Finn to cause the titles to vacate and then have tag tournaments.
Right. And I think the likely scenario when Damien eventually turns, he's going to turn on his tag team partner.
Yes.
Because him and Finn Balor have been walking on thin ice, you know, when it comes to their relationship. You know, how many times have they almost gone at it? You know, it's about ready to explode sooner or later.
Yeah, that's what I think, Chris. Each one of them.
And you know how I think it's going to happen? They're going to be in the Royal Rumble together. Finn Balor and Damian Priest are going to be in the Royal Rumble. And Damian's going to throw Finn Balor over the top rope.
What if Damien, Finn, what if all four of them are the final four in the Rumble?
Yeah, and Damian beats them all.
All five of them. Yeah, four of them. Wouldn't that be something? That's never been done before.
Yeah. And Damian just goes berserk on their ass.
Yeah. I would love to see that. Judgment Day as the final four.
Well, I mean, the whole way they started the Judgment Day kind of pissed me off a bit. I mean, it got started by Edge, and then they pushed Edge out.
Yeah.
Almost like right away. And it's like, what a bunch of bastards.
Too cool dance. He's talking about Too Cool dancing in the Rumble, but that was early in the Rumble, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking more along the lines of the year that Roman won the Rumble. That was when Kane and Big Show were working together and just throwing people out. And we were starting to think that they were going to be the last two in the Rumble after they threw everybody out. But then Roman ends up winning. But what if all 4 members of Judgment Day were the last 4 members of the Rumble.
That I'm just telling you, my money would be on Damien.
It has to be.
Yep.
It
If
has
it
to.
comes down to that, my money would be on Damien Priest.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause-
that guy is still hungry,
yes.
and he knows that the Judgment Day is holding him back. He knows.
And let's be honest, Dominic's not in any danger of winning the We know that's not going to happen.
Not as long as he's kissing mommy's ass.
Can you imagine? Those 4 are the last 4 in the Rumble, and then Rhea comes out. And they have some sort of a meeting in the ring. Okay, how are we going to handle that? Can you imagine that? Did you hear that, Donald?
What's that?
If Judgment Day are the last 4 in the Rumble and Rhea comes out and they end up having a meeting in the ring trying to decide, okay, how are we going to do this with the Rumble?
And of course, she's going to push for Dom, but
Yeah.
we all know that ain't going to
Yeah,
happen.
that ain't going to happen. There's no way JD is going to win it.
No,
The only other logical person maybe would be Finn. He's had some really good showings in the Rumble.
but it's not his time.
You see, tries to tell everyone to leave and have Dom. Yeah,
I mean, would you believe Dom going up against Roman that he could possibly win it? I don't think
No.
so.
absolutely.
That's that would be a slaughter. Dom would get slaughtered.
They can't even try to book that. That's just
Yeah, that's just a joke.
nobody's going to want to see that.
That's not going to be a WrestleMania.
The only logical conclusion is Damian Priest.
Yeah. And what a way to break him away from Judgment Day.
Right. It would be a perfect storyline, but yet they're not all that bright there either. It's kind of like Hollywood, you know. They can't come up with new ideas. They have no imagination.
Well, that's a new one.
You know, let us fans run the show once and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I
That
mean,
that would be the new
We
one.
need,
Yeah.
we need to find out. Get a email of one of the writers. It's like, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this.
well, you know, we can come up with better ideas. I've been watching wrestling so long. How many times have you noticed rehashing the same storylines?
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
You know, how many times have you seen brother against brother, or, you know, these relatives against each other all the time? And sometimes that, even though it's like acting and all of this, but, you know, that does pour over into the real life.
True, but having Jimmy versus Jay at WrestleMania, they have never had twin versus twin. So that would be different.
The Bella twins didn't take on each other at any point.
Not at WrestleMania.
I don't think they did either. I don't remember, but I know that they were the other famous. You know, they invented the twin magic there for a while. They were good at that. The Bella twins were good at that.
They did, and there was also another set of twins that seemed like they were going to be coming in. The basketball players, Pavatter.
You know what I'd really like to see? This is something I'm sorry, this just came to mind. I'm sorry to interrupt, but there is one other person, you know, this goes back to the women we were talking about for the Four Horsemen, the new Four Horsewoman.
Okay.
All right, let's get rid of Shotzi and make this more realistic and bring in another legacy, because I've been waiting. I'd like to see her come to the WWE. I don't know if she signed anywhere yet, and I don't know her name that she's going to be going by or not. but it's Tully Blanchard's daughter.
Oh,
I saw her wrestle once. I can't remember her name. I saw her wrestle once, and it's like, my God, she is talented.
starts with a B. Oh no, Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, that's it. Tessa Blanchard. So you'd have Tessa Blanchard, Charlotte Flair, you know. There's two legacies. Yeah, I'd like to see her come to the WWE.
Let me see. She is.
Yeah, I remember him. I was a big fan of that guy, Chris. I was a big fan of Magnum TA.
Let's see. She was signed to Impact Wrestling. She was with WWE for a short time.
Was she?
Yes, she
NXT?
5-6 years ago. It doesn't say if she went by her actual name or a different name. But she left. She was there in 2016 and then left. And then she came back as part of the Mae Young Classic. It doesn't sound like she's signed anywhere right now. But I can't tell.
Maybe she'll show up at the Royal Rumble.
Maybe.
You know, Royal Rumble's had a history of surprises. Oh, and speaking of surprises, we didn't. We mention anything about R-Truth showing up? What's up?
About that. I am a huge fan of R-Truth. Number one, this guy doesn't even look like he's anywhere near the age of 50.
Really? It's 50 years old? No shit.
Like 52?
Wow.
Yeah. He's 50. He will turn 52 in January.
Wow.
He does not look like, he looks like he's still in his early 30s at the latest.
He keeps in pretty good shape, obviously.
He is in damn good shape.
Must watch what he eats, too.
Yeah.
Probably stays off all those drugs like steroids and shit.
I doubt he does that.
I said stays off them.
Yes. Yeah, he does. Because if he was on them, then he would be much, much bigger. But no,
Right.
This guy he moves better than a lot of wrestlers in their 30s.
Oh, I bet he spends a lot of time in the gym, though.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah. But I love him. I think he is hilarious. Every time I see him, the guy makes me laugh. And the way he plays, the way he comes out there and he plays like he's just doesn't have a clue.
I know. I remember the one time he was in the Rumble and he brought out that 10-foot ladder trying to get the briefcase. I think that was the Rumble where the world title was on the line. He has been a phenomenal talent for them. He's one of few people to make Brock Lesnar break character. And Brock actually said, yes, and actually said, I want to work with that guy. And they never did. They never did.
Yes, doesn't he hold the record for the most consecutive times on the 24/7 title?
Yeah, that's. Let's see.
I think he had it quite a few times. They were counting it for
Him and Tozawa.
Yeah.
He had it 54 times.
Yeah. because they were counting his title reign. Every time he got one, they were counting it and saying, this is how many times he's had this title.
And he's had it a combined 423 days.
Oh,
But yeah, I was so excited to see him back. Now that does not necessarily mean that does not necessarily mean he's cleared to compete. Although it's been over a year now, so he should be.
but whether he wrestles or not, he's clearly entertainment.
I'd like to see
No.
him on commentary.
I mean, he's kind of like with the modern day, without the makeup, the modern day Doink the Clown, in a way.
Yeah, I don't know about Doink. I could see him. I could see him in a Bobby Heenan level if he were to be a commentator.
Oh yeah,
I'd like to see that. Maybe have R-Truth and Corey Graves on commentation.
that might go over too well with Corey.
Probably not, but you never know. But then again, he at first didn't like Pat McAfee being on commentating with him, but he grew to respect him after some time. And Pat's fun to listen to. I'd like to see R-Truth on commentating.
Something.
Yeah. But when you look at him and see how he moves, even at 52 years old, he's still got some years behind him.
Well, Ric Flair was wrestling into his 60s. At least we know that.
Yeah, but Ric Flair did not necessarily take the greatest care of himself either.
Oh no, well he didn't. Sorry about that. She's got to get her 2 cents in.
Sounds like it. Someone must not like R-Truth.
Mama's got food. That's what it is.
Food. I'm ready for a turkey sandwich.
I got a Siberian Husky. That's what you hear.
What color?
Pure white.
Oh, okay.
Black
She
on that.
got a little black on her. See, is it up here still?
With a
She got the clear.
So yeah, I would love to see Judgment Day, all 4 of them be the last 4 in the Rumble. I think that would probably be one of the most unique endings.
There she is. See?
Yes. All of her speaking her mind too.
Yeah, I had a copper and white for a long time.
Yeah, she's going to be 7 January 1st.
Okay, so next month, this is going to be my last show for the year. Joe's going to be taking over me for 2-3 episodes, however many you guys decide to do in the time that I'm out. I think you guys are going to focus a little bit on the older wrestling that I have no knowledge of, like Mid-South Wrestling. I know nothing about them except a lot of the 80s WWF guys came from there, like Junkyard Dog and Jim Duggan.
Yo, with 2x4.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that came back from there, and even some that are from other factions that are now working with WWE.
Well, I didn't watch. I never watched that. What you said, Mid-South?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched AWA. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. That's what was on TV when I was a kid in the 70s. So
This would have been early. This would have been mid 70s to 80s, I believe.
But you guys have knowledge on some of the older wrestlers that I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some come across here like the
Yeah.
Crusher. Uh, uh, what was the other one I saw the other day? Baron Von Raschke.
Oh yeah, the claw.
The Claw, yeah. And then you go further back. It was Vern Ganja that started AWA, and there was Joy. Go out there with her, please.
Now, here next week, you yourself will also have a show.
What was that?
Next week, you're also having surgery.
Yeah. Wait, is it next week already? Holy crap!
A week from Wednesday. It's my
No,
surgery.
Monday. No, that's December.
Yeah, I thought you said you were having surgery on the 6th.
December 6th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's coming up fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 At least you got a lot better recovery than I will.
Yeah, my recovery time didn't take that long. That day, the day of, it's like an outpatient procedure type thing. I'm there for a couple, 2-3 hours, and then I come home, and once I rest for the entire day, the next day I'm doing fine. I just have to wear the patch on my eye for a while to protect it until it totally heals. And
Yeah.
got one like you, because I didn't like the medical one. So
Yeah, that's the one that I was wearing for a year and a half.
it's real padded, real good, so that I don't get, scratch it or anything. But yeah, I can see pretty good now, but I'll see much better after the 6th.
Yes, you
What
will.
are you having done?
Cataract surgery.
Okay. Yeah, you'll. I need to have that.
Now I'll be carrying around 2 implant cards because it's basically an implant.
Right. My
So,
mother had the same thing done.
but I tell you, once they did my right eye, which was the worst one, man, I was back out there driving again. I drove to my brother's house for Thanksgiving. I drove to my buddy's house, Mark, for his Thanksgiving on Saturday. And yeah, I'm having fun again. And I got a nice thing to drive around because we've got a 2019 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor Edition. And it's black and white, like a squad car.
Yeah, Chris, I had the LASIK done years ago, and of course I've gotten older and my eyes have just gotten worse. So if I was to do LASIK again, my up close vision will be messed up. So the other option was cataract surgery, but a little expensive on mine right now to get it done.
Well, I got lucky. The eye drops, the pre-eye drops that I have to get and start taking 2 days or whatever before the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
they could cost upwards of $300 or more. And I got lucky because my insurance covered it. And they were like really shocked at the pharmacy, like, this hasn't happened before. I was expecting at least $150 copay on them.
Right.
That's
a whole another subject about medical and health insurance, and the cost of everything is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to other countries.
But I'm on Social Security disability too because of the leukemia. So I could have had it a lot better, I wish, but I ended up with a bunch of dead-end jobs for reasons we don't say here. But I had a lot of fun doing them.
I had to take this off TikTok. My phone was down to 15%.
Yeah, mine died about an hour ago. It was on 5%. I had to get
One of
off.
the jobs I had and loved the most allows me to be able to do what I do today and actually enjoy it, kind of. I was a private investigator and worked security for a long time. I worked for the oldest security outfit in the entire world. Or I should say the oldest law enforcement company in the entire world. Pinkerton.
Now, one thing I've been wanting to mention, I've been waiting until we got to the end of the show, is that your hat looks like it belongs on Cody Rhodes' head.
It does, doesn't it? I never thought about that.
Comment.
I never thought about that.
It does. It looks just. It looks just like.
Just like
Like his tattoo.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
It
Never
looks like
really
Cody
paid
Rhodes
attention.
should be the one wearing that hat, not you.
Hey, I got it because it looks kind of like my logo, the closest thing to my logo. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I thought of when you popped up on screen. I'm thinking that should be Cody Rhodes' hat.
I mean, he is a Texan.
yeah, surprised he doesn't have one.
He is from Texas.
I mean, he's got the money to have one custom made.
Yeah.
He could even do better.
Before we go, I need to check up on that little petition I started.
I just did a while ago. It's
Did you?
yeah, it's like 20 of 25.
Yeah.
It's got 20 signatures so far.
Yeah, they really need to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to push it somehow or another.
Let's see.
It's getting cold here.
Yeah, I just had to turn my heat up.
You got snow yet?
It's snowing for us.
It snowed early.
We got snow when we woke up this morning. We had snow.
We got a petition on shit. What's it called? Anyways, a petition.
Petition.org, but it's for I can't remember the guy's name.
Vlad for WWE Hall of Fame. The guy for Superfan.
The super fan. That was I did watch that too on Netflix.
20 supporters,
I found
751 views.
How much?
751 views. 11 petition shares, one promoter. One person promoted it. I'm not really sure how that's different from sharing.
You pay money to it? Because I did it. I did it like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, $25 contribution?
Yeah.
I didn't think we could do that.
And only netted, what, us 20 people?
Oh,
But 700 people looked at it.
you earned a free promotion. You earned 625 free views for your petition. That's worth $25. We will advertise your petition on site and on emails. It may take up to 24 hours to begin. Okay, that's interesting. I haven't looked at this in some time. I've been really busy.
I check it every couple days when I'm thinking about it. I was like, I wonder what the Vlad thing is doing.
Yeah. Well, it's got 20 supporters, so that's something. I'm actually kind of surprised it's that low, really.
Yeah, me too.
Well, a lot of people would be behind this.
Yeah, I compare. Yeah,
No. Okay.
I heard puppy.
Petition strength is good. It's at a 7. Boy, there's all kinds of different things on here. All
Maybe
right.
look around in there and see how to.
Well, I was just thinking, is there a way you could find email addresses to the top people at WWE?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a.
And then you just like kind of, there should be a way on the petition to email it to somebody.
Probably the best way to do it would be to get this link, because you'll be able to see the thumbnail to a lot of the wrestlers and producers on Twitter. Because a lot of them are very prominent on Twitter.
X, it's now called, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to Twitter because I have our show streamed strictly to YouTube and Facebook, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter. I never got on the Twitter page. I mean, I'm there, but I hardly ever have anything going on.
My daughter says I should do the one that what's that one that she does all the time?
What?
That thing that Janice does.
TikTok.
Yeah, that's it.
Snapchat,
No, TikTok.
TikTok, Janice.
So
It's
meanwhile,
it's not like I could figure it out. I could easily figure it out because I'm a computer guy. I took, I took police science in the 80s, and then after the leukemia, I took network and security, got A+ certified in computers. There's not much about a computer I can't fix. So,
okay, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. I need to get over to my dad's house.
You can.
I told him I'd be there at 4 o'clock.
Quick thing. There is a WWE support at. It's on Twitter. Ask WWE Network. So maybe I put it on there and tag that.
it was just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean it's a good idea.
Get it noticed by somebody at WWE, and maybe they'll do something about it if it starts getting popular enough.
Yeah, and not just people at WWE, but anywhere.
Yeah.
I think Major League Wrestling, he attended a lot of their shows, and even a lot of the guys on AEW would probably get behind it.
Yeah, a lot of them seem to be former WWE superstars.
Yeah. So
Pull that link back.
we'll get that going.
Hey, Jeremy, can you post that link in the chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Reopen. Yeah, hang on. I'll send it to both of you.
Okay. I've got it again.
Maybe jump.
There we go. All right, so Survivor Series last night. I would say it was a very good pay-per-view. Not great, but I'm going to go with very good.
Yeah, I agree. They needed to have Roman defend his belt.
Yeah.
I mean, and if he couldn't for medical reasons, they need to do something soon. Definitely by WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
if they want this to get better. But I like the fact that they're bringing War Games back.
I do too, but I don't like that they are no longer doing the Survivor Series matches because I really enjoyed those.
Yeah, they shouldn't have combined it so much. They need to make War Games a separate event.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I think that would be good, but I guess they don't want to have it both ways. Yeah, they have been talking for years about discontinuing Survivor Series, but it's got such a lineage history behind it. You can't just get rid of it.
Yeah, you know, they need to start. If they want to do this, they need to bring back some of the old stuff instead of bring back some of the old stuff instead of inventing new matches or new pay-per-views or I mean, there's some I could do without.
Right. Yep. So until then, there is another pay per view coming up in 2 weeks. It's NXT Deadline. Then after that, nothing until the Rumble itself. Because as far as the WWE goes, they're done for the year.
Yeah. They're done till the Rumble.
Yeah, it's all Monday Night Raw and SmackDown from here.
Yep.
To the Rumble.
So if you guys if you two want to do a review on Deadline NXT, more than welcome to. Just let me know. I'll get everything all set up for you.
I'm gonna check my schedule and all, and I'll get with you and see what days we can work something out. Sunday's the best day.
Yeah, I'm usually always free.
Okay.
Sounds good. Now I can just get stuff set up for you, and I'll just stay in the background, not appear on camera. All right. Well, it's been a good show. I did not think it was going to go on for 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't really feel like it's gone that long.
No, it doesn't.
All right. So until next time, until next time, thank you for playing along. Been very enjoyable. I am going to enjoy the rest of the year off from doing shows.
Yeah, I'm just getting started again.
You're just now getting started.
Yeah, I've got so much other stuff going on in December.
Yeah.
Here, I'm ready.
You guys just let me know when you want to do your next shows, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Will do.
And when we do that, I will have a new intro thing built up.
Okay.
Maybe I'll wait until after I come back.
Launch it after the first of the year.
All right, so see you guys later.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.